Today is August 10th, 2023. Last night, I was at my clients in North Canton. I seen some of them driving by. So I started different statements, going through everything from the money disappearing to the attempts on my life to the door getting kicked in Ravenna, then waking up with the bruises, throwing up, the personal infection. Okay? To calling the FBI, and that guy had showed up and everything, and then that guy being at the church telling on me the night before. I called him back, and then the hotline. And where that guy on a recorded line, an agent, FBI agent on a recorded line, they have him for badgering, obstruction of justice, tampering with witness, tampering with evidence, acknowledging two agents yelling out about Pete's tapes before and how I'm framed, and they're giggling. Stop. She doesn't know. And I'm like, what's going on? Stop. She doesn't know. And they're laughing how my ex-husband and that his girlfriend's dad is stalking me and framing me. And I didn't know. And something else about Pete. And I'm like, what's going on? Stop. She doesn't know. And he's laughing how a woman is being stalked and framed in her own home. And they're laughing about it. And I'm like, what's going on? And then makes me beg for my life, and then lists me informant for life, money for life. They open an account. And even when you tell, and then threaten me if I told, so they get away with it. Well, I walked out of my clients last night, and off in the distance, some guy said I was driving around listening to a lot of this. He said, boy, I could take care of a lot of it. He got caught on surveillance with all that, where they opened a real case with statements. He said, I could take care of a lot of this. The two girls said, shh, we've been listening to her about everything that happened. Okay? Well, today I go down to Walmart 62 about 8:30 in the morning, and people are walking by. Will found the gunshot night. He needs to find out exactly what happened, and and they're talking about the case. Well, yesterday in Walmart, some guy had walked by. He said, imagine this, after all this time they found out she did nothing wrong. Why are we watching her? What do you mean they're trying to kill her? Why doesn't somebody get her out of here? Okay. Alright, that was yesterday. And then today. Okay. Well, people are making snide comments outside my clients. About Strange's Lie. Now, I've told the story over and over today, and I just did it again on the phone to someone, how I got sick years ago. And I'll do it real quick again for you. Strange was a liar, and he was an occult leader with a very low education, and only had a minister's license because a bunch of ministers got together in a building across a parking lot. Took 10, 15 guys, told a couple Bible courses, signed some minister's license. 1950 high school education, could read, write, multiply, and divide. That's all you could do. Very low education. Alright? He ruled that church with fear and lies. Years ago, one day I'm perfectly fine, and all of a sudden I double up scream. My husband at the time, Dave, rushes me to the hospital. They do an emergency appendectomy. The guy said I took it out. It didn't look bad, but the way she's screaming, I couldn't risk it. Okay? 2 months later, I'm screaming in the same spot. I go in the emergency room. Doctor, he's like, have you been checked for cyst? And they checked me out, and I was full of endometriosis, fluid-filled cysts that were growing and exploding inside me. That will double you over. They started me on medication and burning treatments caused kidney stones. I started getting knocked out, putting stents in and out of my kidneys, trying to keep them open. Okay? They're exploding so bad inside my stomach. I'm bleeding into my stomach, and I have scars in my belly button and out and around it, where they had to go in my stomach several times. Well, it finally got so bad with the exploding that my uterus flipped over. And when I'd have my period, I would bleed out onto the floor. So they did a lower hysterectomy. Okay? 2 more months later, I'm screaming again. The endometriosis came back in my ovaries. They did an x-ray, and one ovary there was a golf ball size cyst. The other one had little ones. They said if that golf ball size cyst explode, you're dead. So they cut me side to side, took my ovaries out. A month and a half later, I'm throwing up. I have pancreatitis. They're looking for the cause of it. My gallbladder had quit working from everything I just went through. They had to take it out, and it took me a couple months to get past that of my insides healing. Right? Then I had a ball form in my lower stomach, and scar tissue had collected, so they had to go and take it out. Well, then I finally got better, and one day I started bleeding, and I'm doubled up, and I ended up in the emergency room. My kidney stone had kinked my kidney, and it was actually bent up. They had to go through my back, 4-inch scar, and remove the damaged part and repair my kidney. By then, I'm 105 pounds, doubled up in pain. All my muscles contracted. I am cut from the bottom of my stomach to the top, in the middle, side, and now my back. Fibromyalgia is a pain syndrome that all your muscles tighten up, and they won't relax. Well, mine have all been cut within 2.5 years, 6 to 10 times. They didn't have time to heal in between the surgeries. Well, stupid me. Instead of just laying around the house for about a year and let myself slowly heal, I went up to Cleveland Clinic, and I got diagnosed with fibromyalgia. I started pain management. Don't go there, witch doctors. They started me on 30 shots of steroids. High doses of steroids will do horrible damage to your body, first of all. And the 30 shots once a month. They started me on alternative drugs. I started swelling. I went from 105 to about 250 pounds in 6 months. My feet started swelling right away. And I said, I might have an allergic reaction. No, you have some underlying condition. We need to send you somewhere else. I was having an allergic reaction. It went into my ankles, into my legs, into my knees. My legs doubled in size. My knees are popping out of place, and I'm going to orthopedic doctors and pulling turkey-based syringes of fluid. Put more steroids in. It got to the point my knees would just literally pop out from the excess fluid. They gave me braces and canes just to stabilize myself. When I was out around the house, I could toddle around. If I fell on the carpet, it wasn't that big a deal. A lot of times I just leaned. Okay? My feet went from 7.5 shoes to 8.5 wide tight. My feet are like this thick. Okay. It goes up into my chest. My heart starts getting off. I end up in the cardiac ward on calcium blockers and nitro pills. Go up in my thyroid quit working, my adrenal gland, and then my brain started swelling. Okay, I'm dying. And where they're sending me to these other doctors and other things, and they're falsely diagnosing me across the board. And their medication is chemically shutting everything down. They wanted to take my pituitary gland out, diagnosed me with brain tumors. I don't have brain tumors. I never did. I have brain swelling. There's a big difference. That alone will make you not want to fight. And they wanted to take it out. I was talking to my doctor. She said, we need to talk. And she talked in front of Dave. She said, you have what they would call a golden ticket insurance company. It pays for almost everything. They're falsely diagnosed you. Made you sick. You had to come back. Made you swell up. Send you to a friend or refer you somewhere else. They can falsely diagnose you. What they're doing is they're doing that. Then what they're doing is writing you out these big prescriptions. There's nothing wrong with you, so the medication makes you sick. And where you pay $50 or $100 because you have such good insurance, it's $3,000 medicine. They're getting a kickback from the drug companies. They're writing them out $200 to $1,000 checks, and they're falsely diagnosing across the board. And she said, you need to sue them. Stop going to them. Stop taking those medications. Well, Joanne came up to me and she told me one night, she's like, I know this doctor that gives you high doses of pain medicine, gets you out moving. And she said, and people get better. Well, I'm desperate. I go in there. I got my canes, my braces, everything's swelled up. I'm so sick. I feel like I'm dying. He's like, I had a lady not quite as bad as you. I have her running on a treadmill in 9 months. I thought, you're nuts. I'm dying. He took me off everything but the fentanyl patches, muscle relaxers, and some breakthrough Vicodins because my muscles were locked tight. He said, I got to get you out of pain enough to move. We'll get blood flow back in those muscles. You start building new muscle tissue. You're going to get well, and that medication's making you sick. You need to sue those doctors. There's nothing wrong with you, but you have fibromyalgia. Your muscles locked up from all those surgeries. First month, I puked. I lost 30 pounds. Enough swelling left my body. The second month, I had enough feeling in my feet. I could drive a car. I would pull myself around stores, malls, allotments. I would work out until I get in so much pain I'd have to go home, lay down, and be miserable for a couple hours, and then get up and try again. And I kept doing it, and kept doing it, and kept doing it. And the more I kept doing it, the stronger and stronger I got. I went from a 24 women's down to a 16 in 6 months. I deflated like a balloon. As the swelling left, the brain swelling left, my heart started working right, my adrenal gland started working, my thyroid. Where they were chemically killing me, you got off the medication. Everything went slowly going back to normal. May 3rd, 2003, we're all at home working on our house. Brian showed up, and he told us that Phil and Tyler had got killed in a traffic accident, that Phil stopped at a stop sign, and they had pulled out in front of a semi, and a semi hit him, killed them both. Well, everybody loved them because Phil was a lovely man and Tyler was a sweetie. Okay? Everybody's devastated that knew him. So, 2 months later, a missionary showed up. He prayed for me. He gave me the stupidest lecture. I want you to fight through the pain. I want you to rebuke the pain. Been doing that for months. months and months. By May, 2 months before that, where they had got killed that day, I was already going up and down the stairway with just the braces, walking outside with just the braces, waddling like a duck. My mother, and I feel horrible now, but back then I was so full of anger because I couldn't see anything, but I can't walk, and I'm a grown woman. And I'm so angry because I can't walk right. And I would try, and I'd hit the floor. She's like, Karen, you made it 4 steps without falling over. You made it 10. It's like, shut up, I'm trying. And she's trying to give me encouragement. And where I'm hurting so bad and I'm trying so hard, I couldn't see it as encouragement. It's just like, leave me alone, I'm trying. And I kept fighting and fighting to get better. Well, come July, when that minister prayed for me and gave me that lecture, he was such an idiot. He's like, I want you to get up and try to walk. Well, I stood up and fell on my butt. My legs were still numb. I couldn't. I lived with my kids. The next day on the paper route, I'm out walking around for myself with the kittens. Nothing happened. Second day, third day, the fourth day, halfway through the paper route, where fibromyalgia is a pain center. Your muscle loss from being hurt. You have to get out, move them, get the muscles to get blood flow back in, and then build more muscle tissue and more muscle tissue. And then they just quit spasming, and you're fine. Well, quit spasming. It's the weirdest feeling at last. Nothing contracted anymore. I still felt for 2 more months. By then, only the outside of my feet and inside my feet were numb. My feet had already went down to an 8 loose, regular 8 loose. I'm almost back to my old self. It took me 4 months to get off the fentanyl patches. I would leave them on longer and then try to leave them off for an hour, 2 hours, slowly weaning myself off of it. I get really bad headaches from it, but I wanted to be free of everything. Well, come October, Katie had came back to church and everybody knew of her reputation of sleeping with everything. Brian was 17 and so was Mike and Brandy. Mike's girlfriend was a cheerleader at high school. She showed up in a skirt and a dress, and that minister was so mean. She's a visitor, and he's calling her names from the pulpit, mocking her. Well, she ended up going out with Brian one night, and being teenagers, they had sex. Well, Mike found out. He told his grandfather. His grandfather was a minister of the church, and he told everybody we were to shun them. He ever shows his face in our church, no one's to look at him, nobody's to talk to him. Do you understand? Well, I don't treat people that way. And I don't believe in treating people that way. I told my sons, I said, Brian's been your friend since you were young. You put your hand out and talk to him. Tell him he's welcome over at our house at any time. Okay? Publicly defied him. He's stupid. We don't treat people that way. And he's so two-faced. His son, Tim, my brother-in-law, was cheating on my sister Linda with Kate. They were not open adultery, but they were sneaking around, and a lot of people knew it. Linda had came up to me before service and said, I followed him again tonight. I think they thought it was you. And I just want to let you know she took off running. Real quick. And I thought, as if I follow your husband. Well, strange, within a few days, told everybody I was faking I was sick and thinking I got well while that family was grieving. I wasn't allowed to go to church anymore. I found out later, to teach me a lesson behind my back, they were letting Dave openly commit adultery. That I behind my back. That is not teaching me a lesson. I didn't know about it. they were running a scam so he could cheat in front of people. And I went, no. And they fell for it. The same, and it was a lie he made up so his friend could openly cheat and his wife would have to sit at home. Now, do you realize Altman family physicians even told Dave in front of the cops that watched me, you always blame the steroids, but they had you on so many medications, hard telling what made you swell up, and everything quit working. And it's a good thing you got off everything, got on high doses of pain medicine, and got out moving. Back 20 years ago, they encouraged me for 2 years to sue those doctors for medical malpractice, that they need to lose their license. They falsely diagnosed me across the board. Now, do you realize everybody see me go through all those surgeries? They see me swell up like an Oompa Loompa. Great, big, huge. Okay? And then they watch me deflate really quick. Everybody's making over me. Karen, you're going to beat this. Look how thin you're getting. We always see you out pull yourself. I would pull myself down streets. I would pull myself around malls, stores. I was always out trying to move. Trying to beat it. And do you realize that minister making up that crazy lie? They all fell for it. They all knew better. They were all telling me, you're going to beat this. Look how good you're getting. We see you out driving. We see you out stores. We see you pulling yourself down streets. Come on. I was working my ass off to get that for 9 months. And I got well 2 months later. He made it up. Just like he did on Dave White. Dave White was one of those nice kids, like in high school, a little odd, but everybody liked him. Went to church one day. He said Dave White tried to kill himself and blaspheme God. Everybody was like, he's like, his family's no longer going to go to this church. You're to teach them, you are to treat them with respect, and nobody's to call them. They want nothing to do with this church. That man's blasphemed God and try to kill himself. And nobody's to ever call him. I want everybody to come up front and pray for him. I went up front and prayed for him. 30 years later, go down to John's church. Up was Dave White. Hi, I'm Dave White. It's like, my God, you're still alive. Dave and I, both our mouths were open. He said, I told Strange in 1980, God laid it on my heart to switch churches. Been here ever since. Best decision I ever made. He was mad at him, so he lied at him. Just like let's see, how many other people did he lie on? I gave you a list of them. He lied on Ron Vega. Told everybody he was cheating with Connie. I stood up today for that one. I said, that's ridiculous. He loves Lisa. Lisa and her friends, they go over there. Her husband works with them. They're family friends. Well, they're always talking, so they're friends. He'd never cheat on her. Connie, I seen her down at Blaylock's. We're sitting there, Lisa, Mary, and I are talking. Connie. She said, they said I was cheating with somebody. Who would I be cheating? I looked over at Ron. I thought, boy, it's supposed to be you. If I would have told him, he would have killed Dave for spreading that kind of gossip. I should have told him. No, I'm teasing. But you know what I mean? And she's like, who would I ever cheated on? They let him be engaged and get married 3 days after her divorce. They did so he could cheat. My niece Heather stood up to one of those wicked women. Her husband was verbally abusing her in front of people, and she's like, stand up. don't take that. That's abuse. She's like, you just want my husband. She's like, ew, he's like 40. She's 20 and beautiful. You whore, you just want him. She's like, ew. I would have loved to have been a fly on that wall. Well, those mean bitches called her a whore until she quit that church. Walked by, called her names. They tell everybody she cheats on my nephew, Nate, and she loves Nate to death. And they make up dirty stories on her all the time. They just lie on people. All the time. They lied on Joe, Lisa's brother-in-law. He moved away to Indiana. They told now it's forbidden to swim in public pools. They told everybody to start a pool business because he couldn't stand his lust and he had to be around people that were almost naked. And he was living in Indiana, where they said he moved to Florida and did it. They were just lying. They just lie on everybody. I told you. That minister just lied on everybody. He didn't like you. He lied on you. But people were trying to bring that up today. It's like, how many times do they have to tell you it was a medication error? It was an allergic reaction. And I almost died. And it was people using me and doing insurance fraud to defraud me and my insurance company out of money. Using it, that's where they were doing a lot of it between 2000 and 2010. They're still doing it, some of them. And if you have really good insurance, yeah. And it's just how much they can scam people. I was just talking to someone on the phone about it. He said, I've heard of doctors doing that, and they're still doing it. It's a racket. See, that's why they wanted me to sue. That's where the cops have always known it was a medication error, because they told them like the first month or two. It was allergic reaction, severe one. And they were falsely diagnosing me to rip me off and keep me coming back and giving me wrong medications. But some idiot tried to bring that up. Now, last night, they do need to find out those two agents that admitted they knew about Pete taping me unaware before, and they didn't arrest him, and were giggling how it was framed. You think of the scenario. It was not done in a court order police investigation. It wasn't done in protective custody. It was done by my ex-husband's girlfriend's dad and his drug friends. Where is that funny that the crazy bee of a girlfriend has her crazy bee father and his drug friend stalk the wife? Where is it funny that the crazy bee has her crazy bee dad and drug friends break in and I wake up with bruises I can't explain, throwing up, dizzy, heart racing, and a severe swollen personal infection has to be seen by all my family physicians all summer long, and they don't know what's wrong with me, and here I'm being drug beat and raped and drugged up with roofies. So I'm sleepwalking and told to say stuff in stocking tapes. And then they're supposed to Photoshop the shower scene that's clicking and pasting. And those agents are laughing that a woman's being victimized. They do need to find out why they didn't arrest him the first day. They knew they couldn't look or listen. They knew nothing would be credible on those tapes because they were done by the girlfriend's father. And where do they think it's funny women are being drug beat and raped and framed? And you're sleepwalking with roofies. Huh? It's the Fourth Amendment. Nobody can be but protect your life faces with statements. And it's not funny that they're laughing that I'm being stalked by the girlfriend's dad and drugged and framed by them. And they're laughing about it on a recorded line before I'm listed an informant. The FBI still owes me that money. I've turned this into the Oversight Committee, the FBI headquarters. I've done it to the Department of Justice and any other higher legal thing on a recorded line. they have those two agents dead to rights, defrauding victims, and opening my case under fraud to defraud the FBI of money and to let a drug cartel run wild down here. People were yelling yesterday around me. That agent let them do all these crimes because he was friends with that guy. Him and Pete were friends. It makes you wonder if they didn't do this and it's not some kind of racket they're running to defraud the FBI of money. He's gave them the login to the protected custody case, sell the technology to my phone. He's let them, a drug cartel, human traffic people, kill people. And he's not stopped any of this. It's took people out of this area to grab them when they're out of this area. The drug traders that are human trafficking people, killing people and selling them. That's how not funny those two agents are. And they acknowledged before I'm listed informant, they already knew they knew. And like they said, how stupid were they? Yelling out and acknowledging who they knew was stalking me before, and they knew I was being stalked, and they already knew. I'm gonna upload this.